Masterclass. So welcome everybody. This is the monthly 80/20 Planning Productivity Masterclass. I am your host and master planner, Jacob McGill. And what we're here to do is the same thing we do every single month. This is your opportunity to dig deep into the essential planning habits. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of the main reasons is the way that we cycle the habits runs 1 month at a time. And that's because nobody has a chance when they join planning to just put the rest of their life on hold for 3 months and do only planning work. If any of us did do that, we'd probably move forward about 5 years in the next 6 months. But that'd be too much. And there'd be all sorts of crazy behavior from the identity anyway. So we get a deep dive into the essential planning habits first off, and secondarily, my recommendation is that those of you who are here to work on a planning habit be what I call appropriately selfish, right? So an example would be like, habit number 3, working on my vision. When it comes to that, how do I X and Y? Right? I'm struggling with this because that's what these classes are for, right? Doing the work with the habit itself. So those are the questions I'm here to fulfill on, and what this training is all about. And the reason we're doing it this way from now on is because the first 3 of them, I ran a presentation of the habits back to back, and those are recorded. So if you want a 5-minute explainer video about each habit, they're in the members area, right? And this is an important thing because now, whenever you feel like you want a refresher, you can go into the members area and watch that video. You can do it on your own time. You don't need to wait 3 months for that habit to show up, or 4 weeks for the next class. Right? Systems, autonomy, all that stuff. So that being the case, I have a starting line and a finishing line, which is habit 1 and habit 6, but we can put them in whatever order works for you.
And this is the part where it's interactive and you're looking for an answer or what we want.
Yeah, the whole intention of planning is really, our primary distinction is the difference between consuming and creating. Right? And so we're here to create your life. We're creating it inside the context of these habits today. There's other contexts we use for planning at different times. But yeah, it's your life. How do we use that habit to reorient it towards your best life?
Awesome. And I'm trying to think of I didn't think ahead of time. I didn't plan to ask a real profound question. So I'm looking.
Okay, well, I have some visual aids as well. And what I'm going to do is do the portion of a screen share. And then we can just kind of review a couple of things, because this stuff always triggers things. My Pilates teacher taught us all the Pilates exercises, but one thing she'd done that was brilliant is there is an outline of a body in the shape of each exercise plastered all over all the walls in the space. Right? So as a teacher, always look around and be like, oh, right, that thing. And so that's something to remember with the slides, and something else that can be done in our own lives. So, let's do a little bit of an overview, and you can interrupt me at any time with questions. But remember, first off, we're here to create lifelong habits, and we want a long game approach. And then our intention is also to be clearing the blocks and filters When we do that, we put our goals in alignment with our purpose. And this is why we cycle quarter to quarter between productivity and purpose, and productivity and purpose, right? Because we keep on correcting course. And then the structure and support tools and resources, I mean, that's what you're here for, right? And so this is how we're creating. We're always checking back in with what your alignment is. And 1/2 of the year divided in 2 parts is purpose-based, and 1/2 of the year divided in 2 parts is productivity, right? Purpose, productivity, purpose, productivity. And we just keep on circulating through those things. And then here are the triggers I was talking about. You don't have to memorize what each habit is. Right? That's what this call is for. That's what the monthly deep dives are for, to get the experience of the habit and practicing it.
So I just have some that's just kind of percolating, ready to boom.
Perfect.
So I'm excited. I've got 3 interviews complete of
Okay.
my 3 Ps. I've got another
Right.
one, or 7 Ps. Got another one tomorrow, another one on Sunday. My intention is to create a course that starts November 1st, occurs Monday nights, 8 o'clock Central, for an hour for 7 weeks.
Perfect.
And so I was gonna put it up on Rail. I've got Stripe activated, and I'm working on building out my registration.
Good. So let's look at this for a minute, because one of the things you need to know is everything you need to launch. And so if we were to reverse engineer it, right, if we go back to research phase for a moment, you'd ask the question to Google, right, the Oracle, what do I need to launch my course? And the answer is 3 things. You need an email account. If you choose Google, then it could be a Google Forms account. And you need like PayPal or Stripe or whatever. And Zoom. You're done. After that, you could be dropping links out there in the world to the Google form. Obviously, you never take payment for anything in Google Forms. They will not allow you to. But you can say, give me your name, address, email, phone number. I'll call you to get you set up. My point is you're 15 minutes away from launching, and then you can spend the rest of your time marketing that thing.
Okay. So you said Google. So I have an email that's a Gmail.
Yep. And therefore you have Google Forms in Google Drive, which is part of your Gmail.
Right.
And it's connected to that Gmail account and that Gmail address.
Okay.
And it's a drag and drop system. So you can slap a picture up top, put a title on it, ask relevant questions, put a bit of words in there about what it is that you're offering. They should be the same words that you're using when you're promoting it. Come to my thing. I get to the forum. It's Tom's thing.
Okay.
Because right now, and this is reverse engineering, you are in the process of prototyping.
Yes.
Prototyping means you're not actually launching your course. You're running the first version of your course to find out what your course is. And it's completely appropriate to charge for it.
I was thinking
Should you
20.
charge? Yeah, exactly. Should you charge the highest price there is out there on the internet? Probably not. Charge what you think is fair. And if it's a $20 course, a Google form is more than adequate.
Yeah, I was planning for a $20 course, and I think I'd probably cap it at top at 30 people, but 20 preferred.
Perfect. So now from reverse engineering, we're going into big game. You said you want to cap it at 20 people?
Yeah.
Okay, so then 80-20 rule says you want to get 100 calls or fills out of your registration. And so in terms of crafting your vision, now you have the pieces.
Okay.
You see how each one of those is actually a planning habit, and should mastery occur with each of these habits, then growing this thing that you're starting with uses the same principles. We reverse engineer a bigger course or more people, or create a bigger game with a vision of causing this, and then reverse engineer the steps for that thing.
Okay. And then I'm in
Right.
the space of playing with different products, and I don't know that that's this conversation.
That's the consulting, 100%. Because what we can do in consulting is draft your prototype, right? Adjust a percentage of what you're doing to help you understand better which of your products or services are in demand. That's another reverse engineering practice, but I would spend a significant period of time on it. Right. What I mean is I just created a business plan for you in 5 minutes. I would spend 35 minutes on this other piece.
Oh. Okay.
Which is 7 times as much time.
So does that spark any questions in Franco or Sean?
Well, for me, I'm right now in working on the vision statement and the why. So it's aligned a bit with what Tom you're sharing. I guess you're on the process of seeing now what within your why, what you want to put in place. So for me, I guess I'm exploring on brainstorming the why and get really clear on what I want to accomplish, and of course after that, well, I'll see what what other structures like you're doing, what you just said, Tom, to see what else I can develop or put in place to make that happen. But for me, it's clear that my why and what I'm doing, like I have a pretty good idea, but so do you guys, like on your groups, do you share it? Do you brainstorm it? What's the process that you have in place that to brainstorm and work on the vision statement? Because that's what's
really good questions. And there's 2 pieces here that I'd suggest, Franco. So the first one is, have I talked to you before about the channel? I love this analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
They built the tunnel from England to France with 2 drills.
Okay.
Most effective way of getting that job done, right? With precision, they move towards each other. So part of your why is serving you daily, right? And this is where we go back to the 4 areas of life, because it's like, what did I do to take action on this today? Because if you're not living in alignment with that, right, it becomes a bit more challenging. Right? There's an old joke, right, about like the small town, and it's got the 2 barbers, and you go and like one barber's got a really bad haircut and the other guy's got a really good haircut.
Oh yeah.
Right. Right. So like you got to manage that in your quadrants. You can't have one quadrant which is just like the terrible haircut,
Right.
and like two other quadrants where everything's nice and neat.
Mm.
So,
Oh, I thought you were going to tell the joke.
oh well, it's not really a joke. The question is like, which barber should you go to? And everybody says, go to the one with the nice haircut. And it's like, he didn't cut his own hair, man.
I thought you knew the rest of the joke. The rest of the joke is, what's the difference between the two? It's 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they both look the same.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that part of it.
That's what the joke. That's how I heard the joke. That's why I was laughing. I was like, yeah.
Okay.
My barber didn't like that joke.
I guess that's why you have to plan to have another haircut in 2 weeks.
Well, and that's a perfect example of the point of consistency in these quadrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consistent actions, small daily consistent actions, small daily consistent actions. So start to work on that stuff, because the psychology of winning those things starts to put down a foundation that we can build incredibly powerful habits on top of.
Yeah.
Then at the same time, we start looking at the vision stuff.
Mm. Okay.
Right? Did you have a chance to come to the, you were at the 100 million presentation?
No, I was not,
Okay.
Jacob.
Super
No.
simple math here, right? The ripple effect is a very simple thing. In the digital space, everybody's connected to 1,000 people easily, right? Like classic networking, BNI type stuff is like, oh, we all know 200 people, right? So your customers are in your network. The thing about that is it's about exponentials. If you're 1 degree of separation from 1,000 people, that means you're 2 degrees of separation from 1 million, right? That's how fast and easy digital reach is.
Wow.
So that being the case, the thing that I'm doing is really simple. If I can have a massive impact on each of these individuals that I'm having a 30-minute consulting call for, then that starts the first part of the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Why? Because my business functions as an incubator for heart-based businesses. And besides this altruistic behavior, I've got a goal of helping these 25 heart-based businesses be the change they want in the world. That means they're directly impacting at least 1,000 people each, secondarily impacting 1 million people's lives. Multiply that by 25. My legacy is I'm helping 25 million people just by running my company.
Right.
And that's the beginning. That's year 1. Right? Because ideally, some of those people are going to be like, oh, I'm freed up. I'm going to go do something about something that I want to change now. So you can see the math, right? Those exponentials of 1,000 just move out really quickly.
Right.
See how relatable that is to vision or what you're going to come up to next? Big game. Right? Because my vision can be like making a difference in 25 million people's lives. Well, how do you plan on doing that, Jacob? Well, by having 25 heart-based businesses connected with my company that I support to actually take all the effort off the table except for delivering the thing that they're great at. Right? So they're just freed up to deliver their stuff, and they're not like, oh, how do I get this link to work that trigger to, right? Like, I know how to do that stuff, but I have a guy named Brandon who likes doing it. Why would I ever do anything like that when it makes him happy?
Right.
To go in and make sure that this email gets sent when that person puts their name in this box. So you're moving into your big game, but your big game must serve your vision. And this is the line here between the 2 months, right? Because this is the purpose cycle and this is the productivity cycle. And this is the foremost conversation about climbing the right mountain. Because if you want to build another non-recyclable piece of plastic that has a brand slapped on it and stick it out in the world, leave. I don't want to help you build that business. Right? And frankly, I'm not even that excited about recyclable pieces of plastic. Right? It's just slapping a slightly more positive label on the same piece of junk.
Right.
So I would look into like big game goals of like, what is the legacy that you want to leave? And then back to the point, like where I'm circulating here is figure out a legacy for each of these quadrants.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Your relationship with self and others. If we were to pull a cultural bias, right? It's like, what do we know about your bloodline? Oh, like 72 grandchildren and great grandchildren.
Yeah.
Right. How, well, what else are like, 12 close family members going to cause, except for that many children and grandchildren? Right. Maybe that is part of your legacy with your relationship with self and others quadrants. Maybe it's not.
Yeah, the two right now that I'm really focused on is the business and finances and the health and well-being. Those are the two key ones that really are connected together right now within the business. And because in my business, if anybody is not healthy or their well-being is off, forget it. I can close my doors. So
yeah,
that's as simple as that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and maybe that's something that actually moves into your big game, your vision of like, they have carnival rides, and like you got to be this tall to get on the roller coaster, right? And it's actually not even an anomaly anymore in the financial planning world to be like, you have to be this healthy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like not even unusual to be like, I have certain minimum fitness goals and certain quality of life maintenance goals that are part of my practice. This is how my clients work. Those of you that are my clients, I'm going to grandfather you in and elevate you. And all new clients have to meet this standard. And if you're local, we meet at the track 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Let's do this.
Yeah. Great.
Right. And if you're not all in the same space physically and you've got clients all over the country, then it's not that hard to have a group environment, whether it's Facebook or Basecamp, where everybody just posts. Right.
Yeah.
I went for a walk today. I did a run. I did this. And like maintaining health and well-being becomes part of the culture of your business.
Yeah.
And so in terms of legacy, in terms of big game, in terms of planning and implementation, you can engineer a leadership role on the top end and build something into your vision of your company while managing yourself on the bottom end. And that's part of that drilling of the channel.
Got it. Great. Really great. Okay. Nice.
So does that bring up any more questions, thoughts, ideas?
I was going through my stuff. It's great to have the 4 quadrants to look at it. I think I've got my action plan for the short game, the small game. I see running it twice. running at once, and the first one's like Home for Christmas.
Perfect.
And then the second one would be something for Valentine's. And it's like started after the first of the year.
Good. So here's a game you can play inside of this service you're providing,
Yeah.
right? What's the big game? Right? This is just a great exercise for you on your own, but to be like, okay, I'm running this thing. It's 7 weeks, the 7 Ps. What's the big game? On week 7, everybody who participates is, and make a list of 5 or 10 things. I'm committed to these results. And if we look at reverse engineering, and it's like, okay, if I'm going to cause these results, then how do each of the calls need to go? Because then you've got a smaller arc of a beginning, middle, and end of each call, and a smaller result of each call. Because when you stack those results together, they're your Legos that make your tower of the end.
Yeah. The crazy part is I don't know how far they could go.
Well, whatever it is, you first define it and then double it. That's what makes it a big game.
Okay.
Great.
Right? You create from what's possible and then double. That's just our base level rule. If that's fine with you to keep it there, then do that, run your first prototype, and even better, prove yourself completely wrong. Be like, I actually quadrupled my results. Then you know 2 things. Number 1,
More is
you
possible.
can engineer that for the second time, and 2, charge $100.
Right.
Right? If you put 20 people in, put 40 in. You'll have all sorts of data points that tell you how you, thanks to implementation and tracking, right? How you can expand and align. So we would just reproduce this entire slide. You've got your why, and then brainstorm your most amazing results of the course that you're running. Then filter all those results and be like, these are the ones that are most aligned with me and what I'm committed to. And then elevate them into doubling those results and craft your vision. By the end of this course, you will X, Y, and Z. I say so.
Wow. Very good.
Sean's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, so I got about a few minutes left. So okay, go ahead, Sean. We're listening.
I'm just listening right now,
Okay.
taking it in, just trying to see where I'm gonna come in at. Because I'm starting this, but it's starting on the big game already. I'm just wondering about going to the first steps. But I've heard you don't need to do that.
It's coming back around.
Okay.
Right? Like every time you push down on the right-hand pedal of the bike, do you ever worry when the left one's going to happen? You just know it's next.
So you just come in wherever you come in at.
Yep.
The other day we were doing this quadrant thing, and I just wanted to remember, summarize, like we write down 10 things and we choose the 3 most important each week.
That's a great way to start your week.
To take action in those.
Yeah, I start my week with at least a small brainstorm in each quadrant, and then it's all shit I got to get done. Where does it come from? That whiteboard that's divided into quadrants. Where does it go? Over on that other whiteboard there, and I knock those things off.
What's the other whiteboard? Oh, just a list.
Yes. Shit I'm going to get done this week. And I
But
write down certain things every week, like bike ride.
Okay, so you take 3 in each quadrant each week. Is that what you do?
That's where I suggest you start. I'm abnormal. I've been doing this work for 12 years. Like if I look at my business and finance, I accomplished like 17 things this week and I'm going to get 9 more done tonight. But they're reverse engineered down to small chunks, right? Like I had a call earlier today and it was a listen call. And during that listen call, I was like, great, I will take the 6 videos that I recorded and put the links over here so so-and-so can put them in the page. I had to go to the video place, I had to copy the links, I had to put them in a document that had the names on it, I had to press send in an email. Yes, that's a task I wrote down. Make that list and email it. Why? So then I could get it done. Right? That's how I break things down, because solve world hunger is difficult at that scale. So after solving world hunger, I reverse engineer, feed Africa. And I'd start with a list of like the 68 countries that are in Africa. Then I'd pick the 3 that are the easiest because I can send food there and I won't get shot. And I go to work there.
Yeah, because I've been trying to prioritize and maybe dump a couple things that I'm doing, but I'm having a difficult time choosing things to get rid of. So maybe I just
What
need to this.
What I get rid of is anything I haven't taken action on. I have a really clear line and there's now and not now.
Okay. When you say get rid of, do you postpone it or you just completely say, no, I'm not doing this anymore? What, I mean,
So I've been preparing this for a while. We're getting into something called the habits webinar because I want to answer all of those questions. But the gross simplification of it is there's delay, there's delegate, and there's delete. Right? And then it's like, oh, holy shit, to delegate that, I have to put a whole system in place. Oh, now there's some reverse engineering. What's the vision? Who's this person? How does that, oh, I have to hire them and train them. What's the training process look like? And I've added 32 steps.
wow.
But that's called owning a company.
Right.
Train somebody costs this much in money, this much time. Hire somebody trained, the reverse. But without this stuff in the right place, hiring somebody and having no system, it's a nightmare. I've done that.
Yeah. Very good.
So you're just saying anything you've never taken action on, get rid of. But what if you're taking action in all the areas at some point?
At some point. How long ago is some point?
Well, yesterday.
Okay, keep that thing in. Is there something that you haven't actually taken action on in more than 2 weeks?
No, there's not.
Okay, then everything just needs to be organized into your calendar.
John, did you play football?
What's that?
Did you play football?
No, I played soccer.
So the picture I had in my head, what Jacob's talking about is like smaller bites and faster feet. That's what I heard.
So guys, I don't want to mean to interrupt, but I gotta go. Okay, so thank you very much for your
Thanks for being here.
contribution. Okay.
Bye,
See you.
Franco.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
That's the analogy I heard anyway. I don't, for whatever it's worth. It'd be in action.
Yep.
And if it's not delivering, if you're not able to deliver action on it, choose. Put action on it or get rid of it.
Yeah. And you'd said you're working in your vision right now?
I think that was Franco.
Yeah, that's Franco.
What
I'm just
module are you in, Sean?
well, I've just come in with that orientation. So module, we were talking about the steps, right? I'm talking about 4, the big game. That's where I've come in at.
Okay, good. So big game. So one of the things that you can do right now, seeing as that is the homework of this month, this planning habit, is you look at what your big games are for each area of life, and then you look at your calendar, because you're like, I have a full calendar. I'm taking action on all these things. Great. Are they all serving your big game? Because there is X amount of time in a week, right? And it's okay to have a big game of financial freedom, but then to be like, so what I'm doing is learning how to invest in current crypto and becoming a real estate investor. And I'm going to be like an antique reseller. No financial freedom is going to occur. Because with an amount of time that somebody who's not financially free has, they have to pick one lane and master that one thing.
Right.
And if it's investment real estate, then you actually pick which one of the 5 segments of investment you're going to do, because you can't do foreclosures and long-term buy and holds, right? And vendor takebacks all at the same time. Ask any investor, they'll tell you not to.
Yeah, because you got to get good at
Specialize.
one area and get all your
Yeah.
resources into one area.
But you see how we're reverse engineering financial freedom, real estate, foreclosures.
Okay, so I'm kind of I don't know if this is true for you, Tom, but I kind of see it the same way where I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm trying to do rail and get a coaching business going at the same time. And I'm not skilled or experienced in either one or at this moment.
Have you been a coach?
I've done coaching not for money though.
Okay, good. So there's an entry level fee that a beginning coach charges. I would research what it is, and then I would go out and find my first 3 to 5 clients. I offer them a package and say, I'm just getting started off in coaching. I want to work with you. I think I can really make a difference. Let's talk about 3 results that we're going to get. Great. I'm going to guarantee those results in this amount of time. And then you start coaching. Because if you're not coaching, you're not starting a coaching business. You say you have coached, so you're not learning coaching. You're just not doing it. You learned coaching in the past.
Yeah, I did coaching in Landmark.
Sure, wherever you did it doesn't matter to me. It's like you've got X amount of hours under your belt, right?
Right.
So I would Google, what does a coach with this many hours under their belt charge? I would find 3 to 5 numbers. I would talk to 3 to 5 coaches I know. I'd create a number that I was comfortable with, right? The best thing about Tom's thing is he's ready to launch. Why? He's got a price. He's got a date. He knows that all he needs is a Google form and an email address.
Okay.
That's an event, right? You need less. You need a conversation and a calendar. Okay, I'm going to stick you in calendar. I'm going to invite you 8 times in a row. I prefer you let me know 24 hours before you want to change the time. Let's go.
So just start talking to people.
About
That's where
coaching.
what's that?
About coaching.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's where I'm not sure where to go with that though, like where to get the clients and stuff. Because I'm not.
Your
Yeah.
network. Do you know anybody other than me and Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you go. You go to the people other than Tom and myself, and you say, who do you know? I'm going to start doing this thing. I think I can really make a difference. In order to guarantee that I do, I have an interview. We talk about what the goals are. We clearly define goals. I use this really crazy approach. It's called the Four Quadrants of life. I guarantee reaching a big goal in one quadrant and a small goal in at least one or two other quadrants.
What, using your stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know anybody who owns the quadrants of life.
I got you.
Like they exist, whether or not I say so, they're a reality. So
Yeah, I know. I've heard them, people use maybe different terms, but I hear the quadrants all the time.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like all you need to do to have an impact in somebody's life with the quadrants of them is cause people to take actions in them. And like there's only 50 to 100 million people I can think of who don't think about the quadrants of life every day. I mean, we've got like 12 or 13 people hanging out in this community now, and most of them are resistant to talking about it. So I think you've got some clients.
Who's resistant in this community?
To talk about the quadrants of life? Everybody, they're human. They're like, don't make me do this thing where I organize stuff.
And I only need to be a page ahead.
That's what coaches do. They're like, I'm going to make you. That's my job.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Right. And that's another aspect of this environment. Like, I don't know who they are. And frankly, I don't really care. I just know that as this community grows, there is a coaching model inside of it. And the only coaches that I can farm clients out to have to be trained in planning. It has no integrity to bring in outside coaches who don't know how this thing works to coach people through the planning habits. So, again, I'm training the future coaches of the community inside the platform. It's the only thing that made sense.
Right. So I don't have to have it all figured out yet.
We don't have to have anything figured out, but you can see how if there are people that you see as needing planning and you're coaching, then they get both.
Yeah. And I have something that matters too, as well, making sure they succeed.
Yeah. All you have to do is give a shit about them.
Yeah.
On the days when their identity doesn't.
Yeah. I've experienced with that.
Yep. That's good. That makes you empathetic.
Yeah.
Qualified.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I have the level of confidence I do in my healthcare practice, right? I guarantee the results that I offer. Why? Because if I had done nothing after I left the hospital, I'd be a cripple right now. My body was really messed up. And if I just kept that position and aged 20 years, no, thank you. So when people come to me and they're like a little messed up, it's like, oh, that's like not that long, less than the 6 years I spent.
Then less than the 6 years you spent getting your health
In
back.
rehabilitation.
Yeah, because you have the experience in. Oh, and because they're not quite as screwed up.
Yep. Yeah. Misshapen, really, but
Yeah.
again, it's just not that hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have your experience like that, but I know that I say to people, you know, it doesn't take long to get out of shape, but it doesn't take long to get back into shape either.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
More importantly, we were just talking about your experience with this other stuff. And that's the experience you have, and that's what makes you qualified to support others to make it through that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so then you go and test it. You do what Tom's doing. Be like, I'm going to choose a small group. I'm going to try my thing out on them. I'm going to see what the results are. And my favorite part about it, he's optimistic. I'm like, might double what I think is possible in results. It's very likely true.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's
good you got that rolling, Tom.
I'm 3 for 3 on people having something open up for them just by asking 7 questions.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
This shit works.
And it's like, And the thing is, they're grateful. I never knew that. I didn't see that. I'm like, whoa. And so far they've all been agreeable to videoing. And I've got 3 testimonials now.
Amazing.
You know, I structured it so I let them pitch their business, I let them give a testimonial, and I let them answer all 7 questions.
Are those 7 questions you created? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'll share them with you if you want.
Sure.
I mean, I don't give them to anybody. I want them to be a surprise.
Yeah.
You want to be interviewed?
Sure.
Okay. We'll set up an hour and a half. It'll take about an hour and 10 minutes, but we'll plan for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I've got another one booked for November 4th. She goes, I'm on vacation. I'm available then. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about your next steps, but my first intuition on that statement is you're going to be in your double digits by then anyway, and running your first group thing.
By when?
November 4th.
Oh, I know. So it was like,
Right.
Okay, you're not going to be part of the 5. You're going to be part of the 25.
Yeah.
And so you'll get into the book, not the ebook.
Yeah. You set your intention and it's starting to unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's surprising. It's going pretty fast.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm looking at where I get stopped. And what I bumped into something last week, and this is just an aside philosophically. It was like, where are you not honest with yourself, or where do you not tell the truth to yourself? And
Mhm.
what I got is it's in the space of, where am I disempowered? That's the only place I'm not dealing with the truth.
Here's something neat about that. you can take a quadrant approach and a planning habit approach and start moving towards it.
I think you saw something new. I'm not sure what you meant.
Well, it's old for me, but it's how I get past these disempowerments. So my practice is like, oh, okay, I'm in disempowered in this quadrant, in this area of my life. Like I say this and this and this, and I have integrity around it in these quadrants, and in this quadrant I have no integrity.
Yep.
Right? So you can identify it from that end. Remember drilling the channel, and then it's like, okay, and how does what of the 6 habits relates to that? Because I can move through a habits approach, and it's like you drill down to the disempowerment through the quadrant, and then you come up underneath it through the habits and just dissipate it.
Do you have a kind of quick example of what that would look like?
Yeah. Okay. So I said I was going to exercise, and I'm not exercising. Right. And like particular exercise, let's say it's specifically cardio.
For this
So,
week?
It's the thing that I'm always failing to do, even though it's on my list, right? So I say I'm going to do that, and I don't do it, right? And so
Yep.
instead of being like, oh, okay, how am I disempowered about it? And I have to have so many feelings and 25 conversations, and no, I don't. What's the structure that I put in place in order to cause this? Right? Like the way that I had a breakthrough on that is I had a friend that I met at 6 a.m. 3 days a week for 3 years, and we ran for an hour. And like I never had a problem with doing cardio again in my life because I made myself accountable to somebody else. What was that? That was reverse engineering and taking a habits-based approach to it. And then I also align my why with it, because the fact of the matter is I don't care about running. I don't find any joy in it, but I don't like it when the mountains like win. When you're like hiking up an incline and you're just utterly defeated by the incline, it's like there's nothing I can do this day or even for the last week or even for the last month to improve this situation. It's what I haven't done for the last 3 months that's put me in this position.
So the quadrant is where you're getting your why from?
No, I'm bringing my why in from the bottom, and the
Oh.
quadrant is fitness, health, and well-being.
Right. Yeah, I get that, what you're saying there about like I run, but what I like about it is how I feel.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not jumping up and down to run every day.
Yeah.
It takes time, and I gotta chug through it. But
Can we get on the court with you real quick, Sean? What's one that you're stuck with that you're not just this week?
a quadrant I'm stuck with?
Yeah, the one that you didn't deliver on. It'll take 2 minutes or less.
Lately, it's everything seems to be business and finance. That's the one that sticks out to me right now.
All right. So then
doing a video every day.
So then the question is, how do you create the why bigger than yourself?
How do I create it bigger than myself?
How do you couple it? How do you
Well, through the, I guess by defining it, I guess. I mean, the reason I'm doing this is I want people to be like free.
Your words create. So you can create something totally new that doesn't exist yet, that gets you yours, and they get something else, which is tied to a bigger commitment you have. Am I talking crazy? Is it
I
making
completely
sense?
agree. Like this is my approach to everything. I build out something that creates a demand for what I'm doing. Right? Every time I look at a mountain, I'm like, I need to be fit enough to get up the side of that. So then, like, it's raining today and my bike is sitting on a trainer. Why? Because there's a mountain over there.
So how do you create something around business and finance that's bigger than you? It's like maybe you find a business partner, maybe it's about a different family member, maybe it's about a friend. How do you create it so it's maybe it's a donation to an organization that's impacting thousands of people. You're out to donate to them that much. And to get that much, you've got to create even bigger. And it's that much that's going to push you through whatever discomfort you have. Sean has. Yeah. So whatever's there, just drop it like that pen. And go. I don't know what the answer is.
And what's missing for me is like business and finance is a quadrant, but there's a ton of ambiguity in that statement. Because my actions to organize my receipts for my accountant versus pay my taxes on time versus go out and get 10 new clients are completely different actions. And I create a list of steps that is completely different for each of those things.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. The stuff I'm resisting is making videos every day, like doing the stuff that goes towards actually having the clients.
Okay, but
having the business run.
if you're going to prototype, you go out and you get clients, right? We went through this part earlier and it's being recorded. I'm not going to repeat it all, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because then you can verifiably say in the video, this is a result that I caused by coaching somebody. And if you keep waiting to get the right video done before you have the client, which is the only thing that would give you the validity claim of I caused this in my coaching,
Yeah.
then you have a leaky bucket.
Okay.
So Sean, can we do that video? Can we schedule a time?
Yep.
Can we do it before Sunday night?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be an hour and a half. You pick.
An hour and a half on Sunday.
Sure. After